Listen up, true believers. Jeremy is here again to continue his list of counting down all 20-ish Power Rangers seasons, worst to best. I had some very good feedback on the first episode. People pretty much agree with me, which I'm not too surprised because, you know, there's a lot of seasons at the bottom of the barrel that people tend to agree on. Saying that the newer Saban seasons aren't great is kind of a softball. So we'll continue. We'll see. When do we get to the point where people really start gnashing their teeth? I can't wait to get to that point. That'll be fun. But we are going to start the list today with number 18. Dubious number 18. You can smoke, you can vote, you can create crappy theme songs. Mystic Force, let's go. Alright, Synthy, crappy electronic, You know it. You hate it. I am talking about Power Rangers Mystic Force. One of the absolute worst seasons for one of the more unique reasons. And I think what makes Mystic Force uniquely awful is the fact that it has some of the most patently unlikable, obstinate, self-centered, jag-off Rangers I have ever seen in my life. Again, not the actors, the Rangers. We have a group of Rangers that are so self-absorbed at all times, and when someone comes around that may be an outsider, so to speak, they absolutely just take a massive dump on them at all times. There's the episode where everybody immediately distrusted Xander and assumed he was doing mean, awful things, even though he was a Ranger and he was supposed to be one of their friends. But I guess he's the newest friend, so let's all just assume that the foreigner guy is evil. Or how about Lily? They didn't even give her a chance to explain herself, and they just treated her like garbage. And it was just like Mean Girl stuff, where they were just straight up bullies to her. They didn't even distribute any sort of Ranger qualities. There wasn't even one amongst the team who was like, you know what, maybe she's not so bad. It took a while for any of them to be like that. And it was just awful. And how about their own team members, like Claire? Claire is just a nice character, but the Rangers, it got to a point where they weren't laughing with her. They were laughing at her. It was like The Big Bang Theory, the relationship they have to nerdy characters, where they're just spiteful, and it's just awful, and it's not fun to watch. You have a bunch of Rangers who just assume that they deserve spell codes all the time, and unfortunately, the way the plot is written sometimes, they do just get them for no reason. That's supposed to be one of the unique things about this season, is that these Rangers can earn magic spells, put the little codes in their phone and earn new powers, and they just feel like they deserve them at all times. Sometimes they're just like, hey, Rangers, similar to how Gosei was in Megaforce. Hey, Rangers, you didn't kill each other today. Here's a new spell code. Hey, Rangers, you decided not to hurl racial slurs. Here's a new spell code. Garbage like that, where it was just ridiculous. And the season was so myopic on the Red Ranger, and I get it. Every season, for the most part, has more Red Ranger focus than other characters. That's just how it goes. That's just the nature of the beast. But people called it Ms. Nick Force for a reason. It was all Nick, all the time, no matter what, and he came off like a petulant child. There's wanting to find out, more about your past, and there's just undermining everything else that happens in the series to focus on Nick's storyline, which, quite frankly, wasn't that interesting to begin with. And then another thing about this series is that it doesn't feel, like I said with the spell codes, it doesn't earn anything. It never attempts to earn anything that happens amongst the series. How about at the end? We have one of the main villains, right? We get to these 10 terrorists, and one of them has a change of heart and decides to become good. And he sacrifices himself. He is killed in the line of battle, helping the Rangers, and it is a tender moment. Guess what happens? In the final scene of the movie, when I say movie, they think 3 episodes counts as a movie. I'll just say movie. In the final scene of the series, he's just chilling in the background. He's just wicka with Vita. He's just, mixing up some tunes. I'm like, how? How did that happen? Why is he back? Why did you undermine everything that happened to that character? Why would you do such a horrible, horrible thing to destroy one of your few good moments? And that's the thing with these characters, is these characters are just kind of there. How about Madison? Madison is a fantastic example. Do you guys remember Mystic Force, like before it started airing, what they did? They had a secret website that you could go to get, you know, inside information about the new Mystic Force Rangers. And it was all centered around the idea that Madison was a vlogger. Madison was a vlogger. Back when vlogging was the thing more than, say, this YouTube. When it was just vlogging in general. Just making your little movies and putting them up. You know what? Go back and watch Mystic Force. Now, she makes some videos at the beginning of the series, the first couple episodes. And that's it. She doesn't do it again. Maybe once, maybe twice. But it's not a personality trait for her anymore. What her defining character early on, before the show even premiered, disappeared. It just poof. Hey, magic. There's your magic. Hey, you wanted some magic? There's your magic. We can make personalities disappear. Like, literally, the most interesting thing that Madison did in the entire series was talk about toothpaste. Yeah, I'm serious. Again, you can go check the episode if you want. She talked about toothpaste. Toothpaste. And then, at the very end of the series, after very little foreshadowing, oh, she falls in love with the Red Ranger. Because one of the girls always needs to fall in love with the Red Ranger, because that's how Power Rangers works, right? No, it doesn't. Don't stop it. Don't do that. You don't have to force these stupid relationships to try to give her a moment where Nick, as usual, gets discouraged and he wants to quit, because that's how you do a finale. You have a Red Ranger who wants to quit. That emboldens everybody. That creates fake drama. Like, no, that is lazy. That is beyond lazy. Like, what baffles me the most about Mystic Force is its counterpart, Maho Sentai Magi Ranger, is one of, if not my absolute favorite Super Sentai series. It is amazing because it takes 5 siblings, which I think, to begin with, is kind of a handicap because, you know, their relationships are kind of baked in already, and you just have to, and they have to, like, you know, retroactively earn their closeness. But they take 5 siblings, and they make them the most dynamic team ever. You can take any 2 of those siblings whatsoever, and they have a unique relationship all on their own that they don't share with the other siblings. They have such a deep connection to each other that these characters are so fully realized, so uniquely individualized, and they even go a step further by saying, you know what? Their birth order even helps determine their characteristics. Like why the oldest one is so much more mature, and why the middle ones are a little flaky, and why the younger sister feels like she needs to mother the older sister because the older sister doesn't really fulfill the role when the mother's not around. Like, it's amazing how these are so interconnected, interwoven. And then you get to Mystic Force, and they're a-holes. They're a large old, big old massive bunch of a-holes who I don't understand why anybody would pick them to be Rangers. The show is just so incredibly inconsistent. Remember another part before the show started? Remember what it was? Don't go into the forest. Do you remember? Don't go into the forest. Do you? Well, if you do, then congratulations. You and me, we're the only ones who remember it because the show forgot it. This whole idea of the townsfolk, oh, they don't trust the forest or whatever's going on there, blah, 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 doesn't exist until the finale. That's when it becomes a thing. That's when townsfolk show up, and that's when it becomes a plot point. It wasn't before then. That is, again, ridiculous. You can't take an important part of your whole, like, core being and not utilize it until you friggin' feel like it at the very end. You can't earn that moment that way. Does not work. And I think ultimately for me, that is why Mystic Force is near the bottom. It's not quite as bad as the ones before it because the characters actually do exist even if I don't like them. They actually do tell a story if I don't like the story. And that's really it, you know? Like, at least it has, the components exist. They're crappy components, but they exist. That's why I put it above the other ones. But ultimately, yes, it's just a completely muddled bunch of garbage that has no earned moments and a bunch of jerk characters. Sorry, Mystic Force, that's where you go. Number 17 on the list would be 5 fingers reaching for the sky and 5. What does that mean? 5 fingers reaching for the sky and 5. What is that? What is that Operation Overdrive? Yes, Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. You were number 17. Just much like Mystery Force, garbage theme music. Really, really friggin' bad. Operation Overdrive was interesting in the respect of that it was an anniversary season. And that's something I'm going to touch on in just a second because that's a very big thing. But Operation Overdrive failed in the sense that it had a very poor premise. It had characters that couldn't capitalize on said premise, you know, whatever little nuggets there were there. And it just ultimately fell flat with only one really interesting character. And that one really interesting character is what elevates it above the few seasons below it. Operation Overdrive, okay, just think about the creepy premise, right? You have an old man, okay, old's a bit much, but, you know, Mr. Hartford, who's probably, what, 40, maybe? We'll go with that. He wants to put on a spandex suit, and he wants to hang out with 4 early 20s, I guess you would say, people of acclaim, and go on treasure hunts with them. Like, inherently, that's a little creepy. He gets, also, by the way, good job, you get a black guy to play a thief. And once again, another black guy, Black Ranger. So that's a little dicey. You have a Yellow Ranger who basically sounds like she wants to have sex with cars. That's a thing. You have a Blue Ranger whose biggest claim to fame is, "My legs are like springs." Just unbelievably over-the-top bad acting, which I guess that's kind of a meta way of explaining why Dax isn't a leading man, because the actual actor didn't do a very good job in the role. Again, we've talked about this before. These Rangers are consistently told to act bad. I'm not going to say that that's happened here or it didn't happen here. I just reference that point because I give them the benefit of the doubt. I haven't seen most of these actors in other projects, especially seasons around this time. So, you know, maybe. And then you have Rose, who demonstrates why the dialogue in this show is so bad. She literally says, after an entire season of undermining people, displaying her intelligence with such a pithy attitude, and just, you know, basically being a spoiled brat with resting bee face, she basically goes, "I'm never wrong. You're never wrong." Oh, again, people don't talk like that. And B, if they do talk like that, they're not superheroes. People who tell the world that they're never wrong are Dr. Doom. They're villains. Okay, sister? Take a seat, take several seats, because that is nonsense. And then you have Taizan, who, this actor, he's an interesting case. He played a bully in Dino Thunder. He actually was in a very good episode of SPD as Sky's best friend. And then he comes here with some nonsense Fabio hair as the Silver Ranger. Sorry, Mercury Ranger. Let's not call him the Silver Ranger, even though it's obvious he's a Silver Ranger. Let's call him the Mercury Ranger, because he's a you know, from the planet Mercury, right? Because he turns into liquidy Mercury. Just like if, you know, we went to another planet, we'd be called the Earthling Ranger. That'd be cool, right? That makes sense. Whatever. I mean, I guess we have Alien Rangers, so it's not unprecedented, but it's also not creative. Anyway, and then one of the cool things about this would be the premise from Bo Kendra, because like I said with the last season, it's another case of I really liked the Japanese version. And I'm not one of those fans who's like, oh my god, oh, the Sentai is so much better. It's so adult. I'm not one of those. Sometimes the Sentai is better. Sometimes the Power Rangers version is better. Sometimes they both suck. Sometimes they're both great. Anything's possible. Just so bear in mind with that. But you take this cool concept of multiple feuding villain groups and you water it down. to the point where Moltar has no personality. Flurious, while he has one, is completely neutered by Norg existing. Again, you know, Barney Duncan, I like you. I like Boom and SPD. I wasn't even I didn't really have a problem with, you know, the other roles you played. Like, you've done some good stuff in the show. You are magic in the episode of Dino Thunder. You were magic. But here, the Nori character is just awful. He's not funny. He doesn't provide any comic relief in the slightest. He just makes the main villain of the entire series look stupid. Completely stupid. And then you have, like, you have Cam... Wow, I remember these names. Camdor and Miratrix. How am I remembering these names? I never remember names from these series. And their relationship is just so bizarre, and it goes nowhere. Well, really, like, why is she in service to him? They never explain that. They never really go into depth to that. They're just kind of there. Just like the Fear Cats. There's, again, another great name. You know, like, they're supposed to be feuding with each other, but there's no depth to them. It's just, we're generic villain groups. Well, I'm a generic villain group. Well, don't forget this generic villain over here. Let's, you know, say a couple words to each other once in a while. Moltar and Flourish are supposed to be, you know, Heat Miser and Cold Miser, you know, just, ooh, we hate each other. We're brothers. But, again, they're not shown to be uniquely special from the others in the slightest. So it just takes a cool concept and it falls flat. And then you have these Rangers who are looking for these 5 stones, which makes you think, oh my gosh, we're going to have this really cool trek for this season where we're going to kind of go around the world. And you know, there's a couple episodes where they say they've gone around the world, but they also clearly haven't, because the Everglades don't look like New Zealand. I'm sorry, that's just one of a few examples where they tell you they're world travelers, but you just don't get that feeling. They just take the overall concept of the treasure hunting and they squander it. And then you get to Mac. Mac's story was a unique twist. The idea that he was a robot, spoilers whenever you've seen it, or if you haven't, count your lucky stars. But the idea of him being a robot was really cool. It was unique, and for a lot of people, it came out of left field. But even then, though, they did a really cool foreshadowing with the Halloween special by having him dress up as a robot and having Spencer and Hartford go, ooh, no, ooh, serious looks, ooh. It was a neat idea, at least in premise. Although I don't think they did anything with it afterwards. They turned Mac, like, beyond whiny to the point where you stopped sympathizing with him and you started being like, dude, just get over it, okay? You gotta get over that fact and realize that you have friends, you have this team that you're supposed to be the leader of, and you're just not doing anything. And I think that's one of the big faults of Bruce Kalish's run on Power Rangers, is that a lot of the times he takes the Red Ranger, and instead of them just having self-doubt, he makes them self-loathing to the point where they hurt the team and it becomes hard to cheer for them. You can't really feel bad for them anymore. Your sympathy goes away when you go from, oh, well, I'm just, I have a hardship, to, I'm a sad sack. I am a self-loathing sad sack. You can't do that. You have to find a point. And this is best exemplified in this whole season with the team up. With the team up. You take what I would consider to be one of the best teams ever. Like, if you told me to go back and from the 4 seasons prior to Overdrive, and you said pick the best Ranger from each team and make a team from that, and you have to vary up the genders and the colors. Xander from Mystic Force, Bridge from SPD, Tori from Ninja Storm, Kira from Dino Thunder, and then you can pick one other old school Ranger to that hasn't really come back a lot to fill out the team and fill out another color. Adam. Like, that is literally a perfect team, an all-star team. So they decided to do a 2-parter, to do, it's not a traditional 2-part team up. It's going to be a 2-part team up where we just have an all-star team, which again they took from Bokenger, because Bokenger did the same thing when they did their 30th anniversary team up. And you get through the vast majority of the first episode before this new team even appears. Strike 1. Strike 2. You create a child for Lord Zed and Rita. Oh, guess what? Wait, hold on. Time out. Back to Mystic Force. Hey, guess what? Mystic Mother. what else do I need to say? I know Jackie wrote the Mystic Mother character in. I appreciated Jackie. I know you want to do right by the longtime fans, but you have to earn moments like that. You can't just, with no foreshadowing whatsoever, saying, "Oh, here's some footage from Magi Ranger. Oh yeah, they use the same actress, so Rita's Mystic Mother." Come again? The Empress of Evil, who was turned good in space, which at this time would be, what? Like, less than 10 years ago? You take that character, and you say she is the queen of all good magic? Like, no. Even by Power Rangers' stupid, faulty logic, that doesn't make sense. That can't happen. You can't throw in a reference just for the sake of throwing in a reference. You can throw in a reference if you earn the reference, if you foreshadow the reference, if you give us a reason to believe in the reference. If you give us nothing, it's garbage, it comes off stupid, it comes off fake, it comes off phony, it comes off ridiculous. Don't do that crap. Don't. Back to Overdrive. They bring back Alpha, and Alpha enters the morphing grid. He doesn't like electronically try to control it or anything. He physically enters the morphing grid. The morphing grid is not like apparently now it's not some energy force like it used to be. It's not some all-knowing powerful force, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It is a tangible item that Robot Homie can just chill and walk up in there and be like, "What's up? I'm in the morphing grid. Tink, 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 fixing the morphing grid. Oh, there's electrical charge. Oh, hop over electrical charge. Oh, all right, fix the morphing grid." What? What? Like, and then, again, same thing with Thrax. Rita and Zed had a kid that apparently grew to adult size, so either it grew really quickly, or they had this kid out of wedlock before they even liked each other, before Rita's magical spell. Like, something happened, and why did we not know about this kid until now? Why are they just showing up now? Why do they also have a space dumpster? So many questions, you're never going to answer any of them, because you just thought, get a character that kind of looks like Zed, and say they're related to Rita and Zed, and oh, the kids are going to love it, because references! References! Again, no. References for the sake of references are not good. Never have been, never will be. Garbage. So we get through this mess, this hot mess, where the Rangers once again quit. Oh, by the way, that's a problem with the Operation Overdrive cast. Is beyond Mac just being emo kid. They quit. Multiple times. They just up and quit. Good choices, Hartford. You decide to pick, including your own child who you programmed, a bunch of quitters. Those aren't Rangers. Those aren't character arcs. Those aren't growth. Those are whiny little children that you can't root for in any possible conceivable way whatsoever. That's just how it is. And I think that's the problem with Overdrive, much similar to Mystic Force, is you have uninspired villains, you have uninspired Rangers, and you have them just slap fighting each other. Slap fighting each other. And you'd have a great concept, and you don't utilize it. You just have them running around in generic adventures, generically selling toys, and every once in a while you say, "Oh, someone found a gem. Okay, cool. Sweet." I mean, is there any better allegory than the fact that the last gem is in the mansion the whole time and they don't realize it to the end? I mean, it feels slapshot. Which brings me to the one good point about Overdrive, which puts it above the 3 seasons below it. And I think that's a good point, is to really give you a reason why each season is above the seasons below it. And that reason is named Spencer. Yes, not a creative name, but it's Spencer. And I don't know if you guys have the DVDs. They were on the original Overdrive DVDs, the single disc. I believe they are also on the Legacy sets, at least in one shape, form, or fashion. But the actor, David, is it Withersby? I think so, who plays Spencer, is phenomenal. He is a fantastic actor. And multiple times in this series, and you can argue that doing it multiple times makes it lose some of the punch, but multiple times in this series, he sets a character down and he has a heart-to-heart with them. He says, "This is what's going on in your life. This is why you might need to look at it from a different direction. This is why you might need to question your friend's feelings. This is why you might need to look at the situation from a different angle. Just stuff like that. And it's good dialogue, and he delivers it well. Like, he knows what's going on, and he elevates the series as a whole just by having his moments. Yeah, he can be there for comic relief at times, but by and large, Spencer's scenes are very good. The actor puts in a lot of effort, and he really, really tries to connect with these characters and give you a reason to care for them. Does it work? Not very often. At least but that's the character's fault. That's not really his fault. So I think he's just a fantastic addition, and he's an oasis, really, in this series. He just has a lot of good, and I just wish the actor would have gotten a chance to shine on a better season, because I think he could have added a lot more. I mean, I appreciate his work, but, you know, when you're one man against the world, you know, when your 5 fingers are reaching for a good script in 5 ways, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. So that's it, folks. Mystic Force, Overdrive, 18 and 17 on my list. As always, what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Am I way off base? Please always like, comment, subscribe. As I said in my last video, I'm finally over 100 subscribers. You know, little YouTube channel that could. I really appreciate it, guys. You watching and commenting and liking and sharing it. I mean, stuff like that keeps me going. It makes me feel good about this and feel validated and feel like, you know what? People are listening to me. So, again, I just really appreciate that, guys. Got some loot crates coming up soon. Please check out those. And I will see you very, very soon with 16 and 15, I believe. So, I will see you again soon, guys. 5 fingers. They're reaching.